welcome! Today we are looking at con artists. Up top we have the Prince of Autumn, which is the equivalent of the Knight of Pentacles, the Hermit, and below is the Magician and the Ace of Swords. This story will revolve around the two major arcana cards, with the two minor arcana cards playing a part in each of the Hermit and the Magician along the journey. We've covered the Hermit before. He is on a spiritual journey. He is isolated and follows his own path. He is in fact the Fool later in life. So in the major arcana there is a story told. The story is called The Fool's Journey, and the Hermit represents the Fool in later life, so in adulthood, as he begins to look inward and search for his own answers. In this layout he is coupled with the Knight of Pentacles. So these sort of qualities are amplified, so caution, loyal, fairness and kindness. But also there's a couple of shadow elements to this court card that play a role as well. So an urge for perhaps a little bit of excitement. The conservative approach may very well be a little bit boring and monotonous, and he may want to shake things up a little bit. Back to the Hermit just quickly. The constellation of the Hermit includes the Moon card, so they're aligned. In my very favourite book, Who Are You in the Tarot? It explains how the Moon as a hidden factor can represent feelings of being unfulfilled, having an urge to be doing something. Somewhere, something is calling you, but you can't see it. Enter the Magician, an innovative and captivating showman. He's mastered the four elements and can manipulate anything in front of him. He has the ability to turn the ordinary into something magical. Here he's coupled with the Ace of Swords. This card boosts him to even greater mental clarity. As you can see in this representation, he has access to the mind. He's feeling sharp, energized and enthusiastic because an opportunity is heading his way. But the Magician will present that opportunity as an allusion to the Hermit. In the book, Who Are You in the Tarot? It's explained how, at his worst, the Magician can play games and create illusions to achieve his personal ends. He is then something different to every person he comes in contact with, appearing just as the person wants to believe he is. And in this case, the Magician shapeshifts into the Knight of Pentacles. The Fairy Tarot here calls it the Prince of Autumn and lists how he is dependable, protective, chivalrous. That's a hard word to say, I had to practice it. Hopefully that sounded right enough. And humorous. This sort of mirroring what is familiar to the target of a con job is a classic technique for con artists, and it would be particularly effective here with the Hermit, who is all about self-reflection, so it would be disarming. The term con artist is an abbreviation of confidence artist. Their scams are sometimes called con tricks, so confidence tricks, and how apt is that for the Magician? The boost to his confidence will be at the cost of the Hermits. In this story, the Magician happens along the Hermit as he is wandering his path. A casual interaction offers the Magician all the information he needs to shapeshift into what is familiar to the Hermit. And after this brief exchange, the Magician has an offer and the coercion tactics to persuade the Hermit to accept it. Let's take a look at some information from fraudaid.com. So as you can see, con artists seek out the needy. And as I explained earlier, with the Moon as a hidden factor, the Hermit can from time to time feel unfulfilled, a sense of emptiness and that something is missing that they might not even be aware of. And the page explains a bit further here. So the hermit was lonely and is full of wisdom, and an important element is the assumed knowledge. Very well educated people are surprisingly quite often the target for con artists because they have that mindset that they won't be sucked into it. Someone who is so aware, experienced and clever couldn't possibly be outsmarted by someone, but that's not always the case. And lastly, here on that Fraud Aid site, the con artist moves into a position of supreme power, and that's the sort of position that the magician really likes. It feeds his ego. And lastly, as the scam is revealed and the magician's deception is sort of unveiled, the hermit will experience the Ace of Swords. He will realise the truth. Sadly, this revelation will also have him suffer the shadow qualities of the card. So instead of feeling victory, he will feel defeated, and instead of success, he will feel failure. His energy will be drained, his momentum will be lost, his thinking will be clouded and confused, and for a man who had his path before him, he will now be disorientated and at a loss. Thanks for being with me to explore the light and shadow qualities of the tarot. Bye for now.